Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, in a previous video, I mentioned that I was going to be doing one about Mhairi Black. Now, Mhairi Black, Miss Congeniality herself, the famous sniffer of Kit Kats and also infamous soap dodger, is quitting Parliament at the next election. And she wants to impose her sort of Padawan, if you will, in the role. And people said, no, that's not the policy. We have to go through this selection process. And she threw a bit of a hissy fit and said, if you don't put him on the list, then I will quit on Wednesday, just gone, the day before the election up in Rutherglen. Personally, I'd have called her bluff. I said, well, go on then. Off you go. You won't be missed. But they sort of went, panicked, and put this guy in on the list. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to get selected, but he is at least on the list. He'd failed the selection previously because, obviously, he's not good enough even for the SNP. But because she, has this deal with him and that, and she's got him on the list. And so she basically blackmailed the SNP into getting him there. Goes to show exactly the sort of person she is. So we're going to call her Mhairi Blackmail from now on. But we'll take a look at the story, and it's one again of an incestuous relationship within the SNP, which should come as a surprise to absolutely no one. Here goes. So, Mhairi Black's tantrum, as reports say she threatened to quit in staffer row on eve of by-election. Now, nobody really likes her. They all praise her. Oh, look at this, Mhairi Black. Aren't we great? Aren't we lucky to have her? Old chip shop girl, and just someone who likes to snort some of Colombia's finest Kit Kats. Paisley and Renfrewshire South MP is said to have caused an almighty headache for the party after her aide, Robert Innes, failed the vetting process for a shortlist to stand as her replacement. How bad? This is the question. How bad do you have to be to fail the vetting process for the SNP? I mean, you've got to be pretty damn bad, haven't you? When you see the ones that have made it. Anyway, Mhairi Black chose the eve of her party's by-election battle in Rutherglen and Hamilton West to make resignation threats over the shortlist to replace her in 2024. I mean, you're going anyway. It's not really much of a threat. Off you go then. Off you go. Bye. Now, the fact is, and this is a sign of weak leadership. She gave an ultimatum. A leader never accepts ultimatums. If someone gives you an ultimatum, you call their bluff. You say, go on then. I will not be given an ultimatum, because that's what a true leader does. Someone in authority says no. And it goes to show how weak they are, how spineless they are, that they gave in. Basically just gave in. Weak leadership. Humza Yousaf himself should have said, no. If you want to go, go. Go now. And she wouldn't have done because she likes the money. Anyway, Holyrood magazine writes that the party bosses caved to demands from the SNP Deputy Westminster leader to avoid an upset on the day before the crucial vote, thus showing them to be spineless jellyfish. Miss Black wanted her long-time staffer, Robert Innes, who's also an SNP councillor in Renfrewshire, to be given pole position to take her job. She's not had a lot of poles in her life, I can guarantee that. Anyway, the pair have worked together for around a decade, but he is said to have fallen short in the vetting process. Like I say, how bad do you have to be for that? Several sources have confirmed that the account to Holyrood, and one accused the MP of having blackmailed the party. Mhairi blackmailed, that's the same. And that source is quoted saying, it's quite clear that Mhairi Black has decided she's standing down and has one foot out of the door, and perhaps is not thinking of the wider consequences. The sooner she goes, the better. Certainly for her constituents. Her party suffered a humiliating loss to Labour in Thursday's poll, blah, 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 we know, with many taking it as a sign of things to come. I think it's the end. I think that, and I've mentioned this before in previous videos, I think that air of invincibility has gone and they are now vulnerable and weak. And the very fact that they caved in and gave in to Mhairi Black over this issue shows how weak they are. As I say, a strong leader will never take an ultimatum like that. Can you imagine the likes of Thatcher caving to an ultimatum? She'd have cut your balls off on the way out the door. You wouldn't have gotten away with that with Thatcher. You certainly wouldn't have got away with Tony Blair. To be fair, you probably wouldn't have got away with it with Cameron. You may well get away with it with Keir Starmer as leader, because he's so weak. He's such a wishy-washy, weak leader. To be honest, I don't think Rishi would be that weak. I think Rishi wouldn't cave, you know. But as leaders go in Scotland, I mean, Alex Salmond, would he? I don't. Certainly, Nicola Sturgeon would never have caved. She would never have caved. So, why is it caving? Why is everyone caving and weak under Humza Yousaf? Because weak government, when you're led by a weak man, that weakness transcends all the way down. When you're led by someone strong, you can take their strength. Tennyson, is it? I have the strength of 10 because my heart is pure. Well, Humza does not have the strength of 10, does he? His heart is not pure. His heart's not in it, to be honest. Anyway, the magazine reports that Miss Black told SNP leaders she would quit on October the 4th, Space Day, incidentally. I didn't mention it at the time, I meant to do. 1957, October the 4th, Sputnik was launched. That was the start of the space age. Anyway, this was one day before the... I see, tangent time. Tangent, can't help it. This was one day before the polls opened. And that was unless Mr Innes was approved as a potential candidate to replace her in Paisley and Renfrewshire South. Now, there you go. She's got him on the list. He's there. He's a potential candidate. Doesn't mean he's getting the job, though. And, of course, having this done, he's more or less guaranteed not to. But it's the very fact that she felt so enabled to give that ultimatum. SNP decision makers are said to have agreed to avoid the bad publicity, but it has infuriated local party members. An SNP source told Holyrood, "It's quite clear to a number of us that the process has not been followed." Now, here we go about the incest I mentioned. Mr Innes is the partner of Scottish Government Minister Natalie Donn, because they're all related and incestuously married and everyone's married to someone else. And they do that deliberately. So if one goes down, they all go down, and so nobody goes down. They all have this this silence, don't they? You can't say the word. You're not allowed to say that code of silence word that's very famously used in the mafia. You know, the O-T word. Apparently, it's no, it's not allowed. You just get blanked by YouTube for saying that word. It's one of those forbidden words, apparently. But we all know what the word is. Anyway, announcing his intention to stand, he said, "I have worked alongside Mhairi Black, MP, in her office in Paisley for almost a decade now, fighting Tory austerity head-on as we see our beautiful country squeezed of all hope by the revolving door of out-of-touch Westminster governments." Actually, I would suggest seeing your beautiful country squeezed out of hope by the revolving door of SNP ministers, none of whom are able to do the job, which is why they've all got those special advisors and the SPADs, because they are so incapable of doing their job, they need help. Anyway, after the vetting panel knocked him back, he's said to have branded the decision a stitch-up and threatened to quit the SNP group on Renfrewshire Council. Well, you didn't though, did you? You didn't have the balls to do that because you're weak as well. At that stage, his boss is believed to have intervened in the rout and secured his place on the shortlist. Jacqueline Cameron, the deputy leader of Renfrewshire Council, is also standing to become the area's SNP candidate. And local party members have from October the 12th to the 26th to vote for the preferred candidate. And let us hope that they vote for the lady who's standing. I can't remember her name, it was just there, wasn't it? Jacqueline Cameron. Just to rub it in to Innes, the face of Innes, and certainly the face of blackmail. Scottish Tory Deputy Leader Whip Annie Wells said the row showed how Humza Yousaf was distracted from Scotland's real priorities with all the infighting in his party. She said this is the latest episode in the ever-increasing bitter civil war engulfing the SNP. It's absolutely extraordinary that on the brink of a crucial by-election, the party's deputy Westminster leader appears to have been on the brink of quitting them over a minor spat, it must be said. Humza Yousaf's weak leadership means even loyal figures like Mhairi Black feel emboldened to voice their disapproval at decisions by the leadership, which ultimately saw her get her way. Now, that's right, it is. It's weakness. And like I say, if Humza Yousaf had been strong, he'd have just phoned her up and said, go, and put the phone down. And then waited until she did, or didn't. And let's face it, she probably wouldn't. Anyway, I shall round off there and come up. Of course, no one is really surprised. Mhairi Black's an odious toad anyway, isn't she? Famously a bit dodgy on the old hygiene front, allegedly. She does like a good Kit Kat. She enjoys sniffing them, you know. Despite what she claims, allegedly. Got to cover yourself here. You've got to cover yourself. But this putting an ultimatum out to the leadership of the party and all that, yeah, it shows what really she thinks. I mean, it showed disloyalty on her part, and that's it, just disloyalty. And she should be finished now anyway. And the very fact that she's felt able to do it just goes to show that Humza Yousaf's time as leader is coming to an end, because he isn't leading. He isn't a leader. He's a man keeping the seat warm for the next leader, the real leader. And I think she'll make her move quite soon. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. I think this has been an excellent video. It goes to show exactly the problems with the SNP, with weak leadership and crap candidates. I mean, I still can't get over how you fail to be an SNP candidate. How do you fail the vetting? They've got criminals and crooks and pervs. Patrick Grady made the grade. How the hell's this guy failing? Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, and let's just keep the popcorn coming, because this show's going to run and run and run. Bye.